You ever put something on TikTok and then forget about it a minute later? That's what I thought I was doing. Just silly videos. Innocent fun. But then I received a letter, a fine, for something I had posted. I laughed at first. I thought, no way. This must be a mistake. But it wasn't, because what I didn't know was that someone who actually has power in my neighborhood, was surveilling me, not in front of my home, not from a vehicle, but through my phone. And I had zero clue. I had been okay up until then. I mean, life was uneventful. The type of neighborhood where everybody greets one another, where the HOA reminds you of trash days and you have the occasional lawn check. But after that first fine, things started to feel off. It wasn't just one letter. Another came, then another, each one more detailed, more personal. I remember looking at the second letter and feeling my heart drop. It wasn't just, you're in violation of this rule. It was like they were watching me. It was creepy. They mentioned things about my posts, things only someone who knew my social media would know. How did they even find me? I began wondering, am I being paranoid? But deep inside, I knew something was not right. Something was horribly, horribly wrong. And then it dawned on me. These were not random fines. They were not errors. I opened the mail one day and found an envelope with a new fine. But this one was different. It wasn't just a letter. It was a screenshot of my TikTok, my own video. They had photoshopped a picture of me from a video I uploaded. A private video, by the way, not a public one. How did they even obtain this? It wasn't a guess. It was too specific. They knew what exactly I'd said, what I was wearing, when I uploaded it. And that's when the fear began. I went on my account, looked at my settings. I was private. So how were they watching my videos? How did they get so much info? Oh, it didn't add up. Unless one of the HOA was spying on me. It was a coincidence, right? Maybe it was a fluke. But then I put up another video. A silly video, nothing big. Just me and my dog playing around in the backyard. Nothing incendiary. And the following day, another fine. I was floored. This time, they sent me a list of complaints for why my video broke HOA rules. Things like inappropriate community behavior and disregard for community guidelines. I thought, what are they even saying? I began getting increasingly more fines for things I didn't even know were infractions. It never stopped. And the worst part, they weren't just monitoring the public material, they were monitoring the private videos as well. It felt like they just knew when I posted, what I posted, and even what I was doing. And whether I posted anything, no matter how innocent, they always had a reason to discipline me. That was when I realized they weren't merely watching me, they were stalking me. And not just a one-time error, it was a pattern. I had reached my breaking point. I needed to talk to him. So I attended the next HOA meeting. I marched right up to the president, the man responsible for all these fines. I tried not to lose my cool. I asked him, why are you monitoring my TikToks? Why are you sending me fines for activities that have absolutely nothing to do with HOA regulations? He just stared at me. No hesitation. And then he said it. It's all public. You shouldn't put things out if you don't want people to see them. He told me like it was nothing, like it was my fault that I'd posted my life online. But there was something in his eyes, a smirk. He didn't look worried. He didn't look sorry. It was as if he took pleasure in this. And at that moment I realized I wasn't just working with someone who wanted to impose rules. I was working with someone who craved control. Someone who wasn't merely adhering to HOA regulations, but creating them on the fly. It got worse after that. I was home one night, just minding my own business. Then I saw him, the president of the HOA, standing at my residence. He wasn't merely passing by. He was fixated on my gate. I thought he was mistaken. Perhaps he was just passing. But no. He walked over and began surveying my front yard. As if he were examining something, I freaked out. Why was he here? Why wasn't he honoring my privacy? He didn't knock, didn't ring, just stood there, like it was his business. I had no idea what to do, and that's when I realized he wasn't even checking out my yard. He was checking out my fence. What was he doing? I phoned my husband, instructed him to come home immediately, but by the time he arrived, the president had already departed. I reviewed the security tapes. He'd been standing there for almost 15 minutes just staring. It hit me like a ton of bricks. He wasn't just crossing my boundaries, and he was fixated. A few days later, things took an even darker turn. I was at the office when my phone vibrated, a message from my security system. I opened the app and my heart froze. The video was clear. The HOA president had returned, but this time, he wasn't merely standing around. He was messing with my gate. He was trying the lock, playing with it like he was attempting to open it. I couldn't believe my eyes. I phoned my husband and instructed him to return home at once. But before he arrived, I noticed something else on the video. There was someone with him, a woman. I could not see her face, but she was standing directly next to him. They were gesturing, pointing toward the gate, and then, as if nothing at all had occurred, they both just walked away. What was happening? Why was he back again, so late at night, doing things that he was not supposed to do? I was getting trapped in my own house, and it only got worse after that. I couldn't just sit back. I was frightened, yes, but also angry. This wasn't just a matter of fines any longer. It was a matter of control, of someone intruding into my life, my privacy. So I took matters into my hands. I collected all the evidence I could. The letters, the screenshots, the video of him at my gate. I was done being the victim. I attended the next HOA meeting and confronted him in front of the whole group. I didn't mince words. I presented the video of him fixing my gate. I told them everything. How he was stalking me online, how he was violating every rule about privacy, how he wasn't just the HOA president, but a man using his power to control his neighbors. The room went dead silent. Everyone was staring at him, and for the first time I saw fear in his eyes. He attempted to deny it, attempted to pretend like nothing occurred, but it was obvious. He had been caught. That was the final straw. No more fines, no more quiet surveillance. I had pushed back, and it was a win. But even after I caught him, even after the HOA intervened and removed him from office, something didn't feel right. I believed it was finished. I believed he'd just vanish. But I was mistaken. I received an email a few days later. It came from an unknown address. The title read, "I'm still watching you." My blood turned icy. The email had a photograph of my garden, taken from my own window. How had he breached my security? How was he continuing to tail me? I double-checked my security cameras, but nothing was on them. No trace of anyone entering the house. It was as if he had me in his sights from the dark. And then I recalled something. All along, I'd been so consumed by the fines, the notices, the gate. But I'd forgotten one important detail. His smile. That smirk on his face when I confronted him. It wasn't all about power. It wasn't all about control. It was an obsession. And I knew. This man wouldn't stop. Not until he had it all. I thought it was over. I thought after he was out of the HOA, I could breathe again. But I was wrong. Yes, the truth was revealed. People did talk. They warned him off, issued him a warning, told him not to come back. But the thing is, he never really went away. A week or so later, I received a letter again. This letter wasn't from the HOA. It was a warning. It read, "You think you're safe now, but you're not. I know where you live, and I'll always be watching." I didn't know what to do. He was out of the HOA, but the power, the obsession, it was still there. And that's when I realized this wasn't just about the fines. It was about control. And as long as he's still out there, I'll never be fully safe. I wish I could say that's where the story ends, with him dead and me free. But I can't. Because even after that final letter, the sensation never went away. I began to notice things, little things, such as how my car would be parked in the same place when I went to work, even though I'd swear I'd moved it. How occasionally, when I looked out my windows, there'd be a figure moving by outside. It was faint, it was silent, but it existed. And then, I received another message. It wasn't an email this time either. It was a paper note, left on my doorstep. It read, "I'm not finished with you. Not yet." I learned something that night. Even with him being out of the HOA, he was still attached. He still had his eye on me. And no matter how much I ran, tried to get away, he was always going to be out there, waiting, waiting for his next opportunity. So I'm here, still residing in the same house. I try to live my life as normal as possible, but the fear, it never really goes away. Every time I hear a car pull up outside, my heart skips a beat. Every time someone knocks on my door, I freeze. I can't shake the feeling that he's still out there, still watching. And the scariest part? I don't know how far he'll go to get his control back. Will he continue to send letters? Continue to follow me? Will he ever cease? I don't know. All I do know is this. The instant you believe you are free, you find that your past and the individuals who haunt it are never truly gone. I am left with one question.